Take a step back and imagine this. A perfect world. A place where you can just kick back, just enjoy everything around you. Freedom. Then imagine seeing all that taken away because one bloated Eggman wanted it all. I'll tell you everything. How it got this way, and how I'm gonna make sure it goes back.
You thought that thing was a fever dream, didn't you? So yeah, back in 2013, Blue Core Studios made a Sonic fan film which came out to a reception. The film nosedived into obscurity after a few months, which was technically a good thing, which I definitely will get into later. But when I first saw this film, I thought it was decent, pretty good, awesome. I was 8, and that was around the time I held Planet 51 in high regard as one of the best movies ever, so you can see what kind of opinions I had back then. So before going into anything, you will notice the film's opening, which is literally just a ring with Chaos Emeralds coming out of it, and then they just go away with the credits rolling by right next to them. Why was this here? There is really no point to it being here besides it being the opening credits, because the Chaos Emeralds nor any rings appear ever again besides the very end. Nor do either of them serve that much purpose in the scenes that they're in anyways, so why is it here? Well, it's obviously to show off the credits so you guys know who works on this movie. Jaleel White! Yeah, Jaleel White actually does reprise his role as Sonic in this film, and I don't know how to feel about it. Jaleel White actually does do a pretty good job at voicing Sonic here, besides a couple of line deliveries that were either too quiet, a bit off, or just weird in general. That "see something you like" line comes to mind a lot when talking about this sort of stuff. Anyways, let's get into the actual film itself now. So the film starts with the E100 series robots dropping onto South Island, and yeah, let's talk about that. This film has a weird obsession with bringing stuff from like the classic games, the adventure games, and their own interpretation of stuff from those games, just mashing it together, and it's kind of weird, but I kind of like it. Things such as the E100 robots I mentioned earlier, Eggman's classic design, the egg carriers from Sonic Adventure, Sonic 06, all of those games, and Sonic's modern design. Oh yeah, not to mention guns here too! What? It's just weird enough to the point where it works, and I really like it. Anyway, enough tangents, let's get back to the main story. So yeah, South Island just explodes, presumably killing everyone on the islands who were called South Islanders, which is something I will discuss later. So now, Dr. Robotnik is planning on taking over Station Square and all of Mobius. Yes, I said Mobius. This is where we learn that Dr. Robotnik has not been seen in 2 months and was previously known as Dr. Kintober. And let me get it out of the way now.
To some of the most intelligent animal life on Mobius.
Dr. Robotnik gives a pretty powerful speech, or at least powerful to like a 2-year-old. And what I would assume is a gun aircraft flies over the other egg carriers in Station Square. But with that logic, it's probably Eggman's main ship. Then we get a shot of Eggman looking out his window and turning to face the camera. And that's the intro. Let me just say, with the resources that they have, they actually really build Eggman up here, and it's honestly really impressive for a fan film. But then you realize that tonal whiplash exists, and then this happens.
Take a step back and imagine this. A perfect world.
I'm not gonna say Jaleel White ruins the scene, but definitely doesn't do it any favors. This is where we get our introduction to Sonic, and before we go into him, let's talk about Robotnik real quick. Dr. Robotnik is menacing in this film, and that's all thanks to DJ Hazard's amazing portrayal of the character. Out of all the really mediocre stuff in this movie, DJ really stands out here, and I feel no shame in saying that this is the best Dr. Robotnik portrayal ever. And yeah, I like Demon Mike as much as the next guy, but I do think DJ gives on a better performance than the other two have in any of their works. So anyway, back to Sonic. This monologue about how there's no one else left to stop the Eggman except me. It really is just there. I don't have anything to say about that. But anyways, an E100 mech is attacking a gun soldier and hold on. Holy crap, is that the nostalgia? And here's when we get our first real good look at Sonic, and ew. Best thing I could compare it to is like if you mix the Sonic movie's design with that one render that everyone was showing around when we first heard about the Sonic movie. I'll show it right here. And let me say, his design in this film, it's just, it's disgusting. The muted colors, the center mouth, the individual greasy looking spines, it's just, ugh, get it away from me. But let's be perfectly honest, it's not as bad as the 2019 design for the Sonic movies.
Gotta go fast.
It's just a version of him that I would just not like to see again. Oh yeah, he's kind of got smaller hands too, which looks really awkward compared to the rest of his normal Sonic body. But anyways, a bounty is now placed on Sonic's head, and Dr. Robotnik goes to interrogate a gun soldier, which, looking back on it now, is just kind of a boring scene with still good performance from DJ Hazard. I will praise that till the day I die. But nothing really happens besides this line.
No! You got a monster!
The first time I watched it, I didn't even realize that line was actually in there until I was watching it with my two older cousins. And I just kind of felt weird about watching the rest of it with them. But anyways, nothing's really established in the scene besides the fact that Dr. Robotnik and the rest of the world calls Sonic the Blue Blur. The name doesn't really go anywhere besides like news announcements, Eggman broadcasts, or that one girl gun soldier calling Sonic that and him acknowledging it. Which is the scene we're about to get into now, and let me tell you, it's really awkward. 4 gun soldiers are in the forest trying to take down an egg carrier, but they get ambushed by Eggman's robots. Which, let's talk about his robots real quick. I believe that they have better designs than the ones in the movies, because let's be perfectly honest, those ones right there, those things are just kind of boring compared to these. They look like generic white chromatic robots compared to the honestly somewhat cool looking designs here. But anyways, this is where Sonic comes in and everything just gets kind of janky with the CGI. The tracking's a bit weird. You get to see that Sonic's model does not affect his environment, nor does the environment affect him. And goofy looking animations such as his jump ball. But this all leads to one of the most awkward conversations that I have ever seen, and I'll show it to you here right now.
Haha, impressed? I know. I can make quite an entrance. You know, I can come back and do that again.
An islander.
The Blur.
The Blue Blur. Pretty sure you've heard of me, considering I'm #1 on Robotnik's hit list. The Blue Blur is cool, but you can call me Sonic. See something you like? I hope not. I mean, you're pretty and all, but...
No. You're
a hedgehog. And proud of it.
And that leads to one of the most jank CGI scenes that I have ever seen. I'm sure for 2013 this was pretty impressive for like a small little studio, but nowadays it just looks weird. So after that, Sonic blows up an egg carrier and is sent right back down to Mobius to probably save it again. Then we get one more scene with that gun team I mentioned earlier, and for some reason there's a racist on the team. So yeah, that guy says that Sonic can't be trusted because he's a South Islander. Let's talk about that, shall we? In the movie, there seems to be a bit of dislike towards the South Islanders, and I'm not sure if that was a good story decision. This can be seen with that one guy I mentioned earlier, and Eggman trying to get rid of all the South Islanders, a la rejected Austrian painter.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a
I just don't know why it's here. It could have been a cool concept with that whole them versus us kind of a thing, but it doesn't really have that much of an effect if there's literally only supposed one South Islander. Oh yeah, that's right, 2 South Islanders, which I will get into by the end of this video. At this point, even bigger bounties placed on Sonic's head, raising it from like 10,000 to 100,000 or something like that, and Eggman gets the green Chaos Emerald. And that's the only mention of a Chaos Emerald in the story. Sonic is running in the mountains until he comes across something. That thing being, Sonic fans, please just repent. Green Hill. But don't worry, this film was made before we considered Green Hill to be overused. Sonic is running in Green Hill, smashing some motobugs, and then we get the final shot. Supposedly a second South Islander. Knuckles the Echidna. God, why is this even here? He comes in and says,
If only you knew what you were all in for.
And then the movie ends. That's it. Why? And are those individual fingers? I feel as though the fact that this thing is 18 minutes long instead of like an hour and 30 like their Mega Man fan film is, they knew they weren't getting a sequel. So why even put this here? Since then, we have gotten a full look at Knuckles' design, and yeah, it looks just as bad as Sonic's does. Although the colors are just a bit better on Knuckles than they are on Sonic. I do definitely feel like the muted style suits him. But yeah, that was Sonic 2013, a somewhat lackluster fan film. I'm gonna have to give it like a 4 out of 10, maybe 4.5 out of 10. Robotnik's cool, there's some cool ideas, but there's really not much here to dissect, and what is here is just kind of mediocre overall. But not all hope is lost. You can go and support Blue Core Studios and what they're putting out now. Speaking of which, what did they put out last? 4 years ago, what? As not good as this film was, it was a cool endeavor, and I would have liked to see what they could do in the future. And it is not all doom and gloom for Sonic fan films. There are some pretty cool ones out there, and some that will be released soon. Such as Sonic Villains, an idea that's really cool, bringing all of Sonic's villains in from the multiverse to try and kill our Sonic. While a few weird ideas here and there, it's looking to be a really cool adventure, and I'm so glad it's animated because then they can fully realize their ideas. Then you got Channel Pup out here coming out and announcing that he's making a Sonic fan film, which I am excited to see. I'm not sure if it's going to be anything too exciting, but it's still cool to see that we got people trying this stuff out. So yeah, if you could, please subscribe, because we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by December 20th, 2024, or 500 by the end of this year, because we only need 100 more, guys, please. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. 400 is just such a big number, guys. Thank you so much for supporting. It genuinely means a lot. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be in the position I'm at now, I would not have believed you. So yeah, road to 500, guys. We're almost there. Have you clicked on any of the links yet?